Hello, welcome to my channel A Book Forest. My name is Kim, and today I'm going to do a review of Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. It's Brandon Sanderson's first published novel, and I read it in March. So my rating for this was 3 stars. I thought it was really enjoyable, a great ride. But there were some issues with it that I did not feel like it was more than a 3-star read. I still feel it's worth it though, especially if you're a Sanderson fan. Like, I'm a completionist, I want to read everything he wrote. And since it's his first novel, it's still a really good, novel for a first timer. Basically, the story is set near Elantris. Like, Elantris is a huge city that was populated by these magical beings that people were thinking they were gods. They were so beautiful, like silver skin and hair, like white hair, and they had these magical abilities to heal people from anything. Like, they could bring people from the brink of death. They could turn garbage into food, so it was like a paradise almost. Like, and they were basically there, and people were coming to them for help. And then 10 years before this novel starts, there's a catastrophe that happens. Everyone in Elantris, every Elantrian, loses their powers, and they become like rotten corpses almost, and they live in that city, and they kind of survive in there, but you don't know really how, because they have no food, they have nothing, and it's all dirty and disgusting, very hellish. Like, the first few chapters in Elantris, you feel like it's a horror story. So yeah, it was very interesting. And then that's how it starts. Like, and then there's all the politics going on around this, like from a catastrophe, like the power in place, the beings in Elantris, they lost their power, they lost everything in one fell swoop. And what happens after that? So we were like 10 years after, so we see a bit of the aftermath. And the characters in there are kind of struggling with the new circumstances. There's Raoden, who is a prince of the city that basically went up after Elantris. He's the prince. And I'm not gonna, like, the first chapter, he wakes up and he's an Elantrian. He's all gray and he has lost his hair. So that's how it starts. It's not really a spoiler. And then he's thrown into the city. And the second main character is Serene. She's his bride, basically. Like, they've never really met, but she just arrived just after the incident. She doesn't know what happened to him. Nobody knows what happens to Raoden. And then just basically she's sort of kind of his wife now, because if he dies before they're married, she's kind of married by default. So she's now the princess of the city near Elantris. So in power. Her father-in-law is the king. So these two are the main characters that we follow them. There's also another one. It's a priest from another a religion outside of Elantris. His name is Hraten. I don't know exactly. So Hraten is like a priest from a religion trying to take over this region. So we follow them around, and it's a bit. I was always more interested in the Elantris plotline with Raoden. That was the good stuff. I always wanted to be in Elantris. Every time we went outside of Elantris, following other people, I was like, let's just go back and see what they're doing. So I feel like Brandon Sanderson was a bit scattered. Like, he was trying to involve a lot of characters in his plotline, and there were 2 sort of separate plot lines from Elantris and outside of Elantris, and you didn't didn't really mesh well together. So that's my issue with this, because the Elantris portion, like the first half of the book in Elantris, was fascinating to me. It was discussing discussing themes of and like resilience. That was great. What do you do when your life turns to crap? Basically, how do you get up from that? Do you despair, or what happens, and how do you get out of this situation? Like, not, you can't get out of the city, but you can maybe better your circumstances. So that's kind of Riordan's goal, and he's a very natural leader. Everyone wants to follow him, like either before he was taken by Elantris, and after everyone has like he makes people feel good about themselves. He makes people feel good in general, like they want to be near him, and he's trying to be like the father figure almost. He's young, but he's almost like a dad to everyone. But he's giving and giving, and you feel like, oh my God, is he gonna break under the pressure? Like, is he giving too much? Does he have anything left for himself? That was very interesting. So that's a bit of what I really liked about this. And the magic system is quite interesting. The magic in Elantris is no longer available, but there's like a little remnant of it. So it's really interesting to see the mystery of it. My main gripes with this book were mostly about the too many characters. There were just too many. Like, you could not possibly get attached to all of these, and they could not possibly all have a use. Like, some of them were absolutely useless. There were so many hangers-on in the court. Even in Elantris, like, there's gangs, and the storylines like surrounding those gangs, like street gangs basically. They all want to get all of the resources, and they're fighting each other almost. It was just like too many, like you couldn't really follow, and some of those characters got left by the wayside. You never heard from them again, and it was like, why were they there in the first place? What was the point? So that's a bit unfortunate. I mean, maybe I think he might have planned to do a trilogy or a duology initially, and it just didn't pan out. I think he still plans to do a sequel, but yeah, it feels like it needs a sequel, in my opinion. Like, there's some characters that are interesting, like Serene's uncle. His name is Keen, and he's an interesting character with an interesting background, and you don't know exactly what happened with him and Serene's father, the king of the other country. So you're like, okay, I'm interested in that, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So I mean, it would need a follow-up. And there are some characters that are just completely useless. They were there maybe to give hints about the mystery, or it could have been done differently. You didn't need those characters there. So it left the focus away from what I wanted to see, which was Elantris itself. And all the plot lines from outside of Elantris, like the politics there, the religious plots and everything, they were kind of undermining to me the Elantris plot. Like, they were not gelling together at all. So, and I preferred one instead of the other, so I was just like resentful a little bit when we got away from that. And the last part, like the second part, was I didn't super like the resolution. It was alright. It's just, I wish we would have gone in a different way. It's like everything that happened in the second part of the book kind of made the first part irrelevant, and I was sad about that, because that's my favorite part. Other than that, I really enjoy the magic system. As I said, like there are some mysteries still. that we don't know exactly what's happening. Like there's these beings. They're called Scions, and they kind of emanate. Everyone thinks that they emanate from Elantris, like that the Elantrians created them, but maybe not. I don't know. So the Scions are like a sphere or a globe floating around, and they're like a mix between an AI friend and a classic animal companion. So it's like a very loyal talking dog, but that has like a lot of knowledge, and yeah, it's great. And they're like you can do intercontinental phone calls with them. It's really very interesting and mysterious because you don't really know where they come from. So I really I recommend reading Elantris for sure. I don't think it's you should skip it by any means. However, I do not think it should be the first book you read by Brandon Sanderson. It does not give you a good notion of his his strengths. Like it's not as well plotted, and the characters are not as are not as deep as his other novels. And so I would recommend probably starting with Mistborn, definitely, like probably everyone says, but it's a great starting point. Mistborn is amazing. Or if you want just a taste of Brandon Sanderson, you don't want to start a trilogy, I would recommend The Emperor's Soul, which is a novella. It's a few hundred pages, maybe not even 200 pages, and it gives you a much better idea of what Brandon Sanderson can do. It's just a wonderful, wonderful novella. I gave it 5 stars. It's yeah, it gives you his strengths and what you can expect, basically, not in his other books. But I would, yeah, just read Elantris when you have read everything else. Maybe not after Stormlight, because like I'm reading The Way of Kings right now, the first book in the Stormlight archive. I think this would be a bit jarring after that. Like it's so much better. Like he evolved so much as a writer. So yeah, just read that maybe after Mistborn or something. Yeah, that's a bit of my opinions on Elantris. I would love to hear your thoughts about this book. I know it's been published a while back, so I'm late to the party. But yeah, if you feel the same as I do, or if you have different opinions than myself, then just comment in below, and hopefully see you next time. Have a great day.